All right, I'd like to call to order the Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. The time is 6:01. Members present are Chris Duhamel, Dr. Mark Garceau, Dr. Chris Lund, Mark McKinnon, Mike Ober, Kristen Federico, Giuseppe Cantarelli, Cindy Kirchhoff, Audrey Fover, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have John Scheib from NCA and Ray Smith from OG as a guest. First order of business is approval of meeting minutes from our September 10th meeting. If there are no modifications to these minutes, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries. Okay. Where the heck is my agenda? Next item on the agenda is public comment. There are no members of the public present this evening, so we will move on to approval of invoices, of which there are no invoices up for approval. So we will go to owner, project manager / architect update. And I think, John, this is going to be your show here.
Yeah, I guess so.
While we wait for Deb.
All right. Okay. Yeah, if I can. Deb, I was just about to start unless there's anything you want to.
You can go right ahead. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So our update for today, for the State Street School project, just to give everyone a brief overview of both the kind of construction activities and some action items for this evening. Again, just to talk about schedule, just to see where we are, current progress. We're now just over a year into the active construction on site. We're, based on the schedule, we're looking at that late April of 2026 completion for the phase 1 of the new school building. FF&E tech install April through June, move in June through August over the summer months, and then phase 2 is demo of the existing school, July through September of 2026, complete the site work from September to November of 2026. The progress is right on schedule. The progress, I'll just say it right now, the progress has been great over the last couple of weeks to months. The pace, the amount of tradespeople on the site, the amount of work moving to completion and weather tightening the building and all that it has been great. So with that, just want to also mention while we have the kind of plan up here that shows the new construction and the existing building kind of dashed in here, is that we are starting, now that we're a year away from the point where we're going to have to occupy the new building, but still have an active construction site and demo of the existing building happening. We've been talking about those logistics. So we had a meeting just recently to couple with OG initially, and then we had one with Audrey and Mark to talk a little bit about student safety, building access, proper egress, vehicle circulation, the parking, all of those things. So that's ongoing and will continue to be ongoing. We want to make sure that we have some temporary provisions to make sure we're working through with O&G. We have an allowance for that within the budget, so we're trying to use that judiciously as well. But again, keeping overall site safety and continue to keep student occupied areas completely independent from construction activities and make them usable and functional again for that September through November of next year. By the time we get to November, we'll say towards the end of the year, we're going to have the new parking, the new drives, bus loop, etc. So with that, we'll show some of the overall construction progress. Exterior of the building, more or less the windows have been going in. You see window frames, glass happening. The nail base, this what you see now with all this plywood on the outside of the building is actually outside of that blue air vapor barrier. So the blue air vapor barrier, this layer here is kind of your inner, the outside of your inner wall, and then the nail base goes on over that. Some building paper goes on over that, and then what starts to happen is the siding happens. This is the mock-up for some of the different siding materials. More or less, you have the horizontal siding here. These are not the final finishes, just so you know, it's not the actual colors. The siding gets a paint, the horizontal siding gets a paint, and the vertical siding gets a stain. But more or less, you start to see that how all the materials come together. Are the windows properly flashed? In other words, will the water be transmit away from the window with the window material there? So we look at all of that in the detail here and how it works, and make our assessments from the one mock-up. We kind of once we make decisions on the one mock-up, they get implemented throughout the building. Originally, we had to talk about window placement within the wall, and once we set that, we were able to proceed with all the windows around the perimeter of the building. On the inside of the building, some things really starting to take shape. This is one of the skylight panels, translucent panels, skylights over the main open area on the lower level. This picture was taken from the upper level. That's why you see one of the structural beams overhead here. But for the most part, from underneath, you're going to see there's a pair of long skylights like this that are underneath the open stair. The mural, the wall for the mural would be over on, well, actually on the far side of the second. Yeah, it's the far side of this is the near the exterior side skylight. So, and then some of the interior classrooms, a lot of now interior sheetrock going on. So you start to see where the windows are, that interior spaces are starting to form up nicely. Some ductwork and sprinkler piping going in. All right, so one of the action items involves this is a design change request. So this is a proposal from TSKP, which includes mostly the GTC technology consultants, their scope, with the TSKP markup. So this is not a contract. This is not specific to the contract of the of O&G. This is so that the design team can be released to initiate this change. This is for the PA and intercom clock system. This was discussed, I believe, earlier on, but the basic comparison to this is the way the fire alarm was. The fire alarm was similar. It was not a sole source spec from when the project was bid. So we had numerous names. We had Bogan in the spec. We had Telcor in the spec. Bogan was submitted based on the low bid. So similar to the fire alarm, we have to look at a revision to provide the Telcor system that's been requested. This is really requested so that the district can start to establish a new standard, because older PA systems and intercoms and clocks tended to have some challenges. I'm sure Mark could elaborate on some of those if you want to get into more detail on it. But more or less, this is so that we could that we, the design team, can be released to review all of this. So what we're looking at is a Telcor PA system. It's a hybrid IP-based system with centralized control. It provides the zone caging and all the call capabilities integrated with the fire alarm and emergency notifications. You have some desktop and mobile control interfaces, so you have a higher level of controllability to the system. And then that would interact with the clock. So you'd have the signalized digital and analog clocks, network-based time synchronization, automatic daylight savings adjustments, low maintenance and energy efficient. A lot of this is we need to go through it with Mark and the technology department to just make sure that all of the equipment or the system is going to be the most appropriate thing. What differs from the fire alarm we were able to just say, yeah, switch manufacturers. And by switching manufacturers, that was like an apples to apples comparison. In this case, the analog Bogan system is not the same as a Telcor digital system or even a Telcor hybrid system. Those are apples and oranges. In order to have apples talk to oranges, we need our design team to get in here and understand the owner needs and then transmit those to the contractor. So that's in the sum of $11,137 for that design revision change.
So question.
Any questions on this one?
Mark, I'm assuming this is, you want Telcor.
This is mainly IT's request. This is what we have around the district.
Okay. So, you said that there are existing analog, Bogan clocks, correct? That are part of the contract, or when I say existing, the basis of design were, so here's my question. If I'm sitting in, the current design in a classroom and that clock by contract is a Bogan analog clock, which likely looks like this.
Yeah, very well be.
Was that part of the PA system as well, or?
They were really separated, so that you could have one manufacturer. I think they were submitted separately, if I remember correctly. So I think the PA was Bogan, but the clocks submitted were something else. I don't remember. I'm not looking at you, Ray, because I'm not expecting you to remember, but if you did, but I don't recall which clock system was submitted, but I know the PA was Bogan.
So the current documents have two separate systems with two separate power over Ethernet connections, or?
I don't believe they're even powered over internet. I don't think they're IP based.
Okay,
I don't.
So the specifications allow for analog centralized power amplifier public address system, and then also a centralized synchronous clock system.
that's copper?
Yeah, it's copper.
Okay,
Is this just design peaks?
yeah. Well, part of my question was, I mean, if we already had the infrastructure for the power over Ethernet on a wall, and it's simply a matter of swapping out one clock for another clock, my question would be what is going into the design of that? But if I'm understanding correctly, and we have a copper system, which is basically speaker wire, that's going throughout the building, I think, and we need Ethernet network-based solution, then I can understand that there would be design
Right.
that's involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding is Telcor no longer offers a totally analog solution.
It would be very important to understand what kind of change order this change is going to
Yeah.
involve.
Yeah, and that was something we would work to try to come up with an estimate on it right away. Once we're underway with this, is to in parallel with the design, let's work with the construction team to try to put some pricing information in front of you as fast as possible.
This issue came up just in the spring or last fall possibly with Mike Subcommittee, because over at the high school, they have Bogan. And he's actually looking to have that replaced. Is that correct? Yes.
So it came up a year ago?
And we started talking about it. Went back and forth, and then we got the submittal on it. Then we sat down and looked at it. Then Mike looked at it, and then we came back and said, so it has been going back and forth a little bit between who was going to design this. We had asked ONG, and it was just not gonna work out. We believe it's best to go back to the architect.
So other than consistency among buildings, what else is driving this?
The functionality, I think, of the Bogan, Mike was very pleased. I think it had to do with equipment availability, replacement equipment, contractors who will come in and actually work on it. He just thought this was a much better system. And the Bogan system in the high school, I think, is only, what, a few years old?
We not replacing that? Didn't we just go through phone system change?
that's a different system, but the Bogan hasn't been replaced.
The Bogan
in
hasn't?
Probably 20 years.
Oh, okay, so it has been there a while, all right.
Yeah.
So are we running wire right now for this stuff?
We have all the pathways mapped out for it. We're waiting to be told what wire to run.
So at least we're not gonna be undoing work. So it sounds like this needs to be done pretty quickly in order to understand what's.
Right, our consultant GTC, we told them that in a best case scenario that we'd be released they'd be authorized to do this after the committee meeting, and they told us 2.5 weeks to get to get to the point where we've gotta we gotta set up some meetings with Mark, but right in there, but for the most part, they're looking at about a 2.5 week time frame to get their design work done.
And does this also assume understanding of all the downstream network infrastructure that's now gonna need to be implemented? If we're adding 20, 30, 35 locations of new network connections, they have to go to a switch.
Yeah, so I mean, this part of the design discussion would include the controller amplifiers and network switches. So if we had to add network switches, we would have to be looking at that.
Okay, so it sounds like this is legitimate additional services request. I think the concern here is that without knowing what this modification is going to mean for construction dollars, that doesn't sound like we won't know until it gets designed. But this could be a 6-figure construction change order.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, I'm not sure. at
You
this point.
don't need to tell me
All
that.
right,
I'm
I know.
gonna tell you that.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
be a 6-figure
Mhm.
construction change.
Mark, how recently was Mike Zoic part of this conversation?
He was involved quite early in this. The email I just referenced was from January when we were talking about this subject.
That's a while ago. I'd like to have him weigh in on this.
Well, I'm going to assume the time is of the essence on this particular work if it's moved forward. So if this committee moves this forward, I think it should be caveated that you need to validate it with the IT.
Can you run 2 wires, Justin?
Well, they're running copper wire for
The analog.
the analog system. And
That cable for the digital.
and network cable for the digital. It's not uncommon for all of these devices in the building to be power hungry for that. It's just.
I mean, our consultant is very well aware of the cost implications that could come from this. And they have already talked about some ways that they, what they're saying is like, we can get you to the point where you have this hybrid IP system where you're still using, you're not using the high-end digital equipment. You're not using all the high-end digital speakers and other equipment at the termination points. You're using some lower cost devices at the termination points and not, because he said that's where you're going to start to rack up the dollars is when you take every speaker and quadruple or quintuple the cost, and you can still cost control on the end devices quite a bit, but still give you the backbone that you want here.
So are there speakers for sound amplification in the classrooms? Or
I
assisted
don't recall, I
listening?
don't think we're doing,
I don't think
other than
we
the
will.
required assisted listening.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing any
Okay.
regular speech amplification.
So I mean, both of these companies come with a standalone system that is a speaker, intercom, clock.
Mhm.
And I think you were very specific, Audrey, that you wanted to make sure about it, keeping analog clocks in the classroom.
Yeah.
Was that true?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. We need
Yeah.
to have them.
I think they come digitally, they come analog, but they come as a unit. It usually just has a little kind of speaker. They look a little more clunkier than a clock. But I guess that may be, rather than purchase a separate speaker and a separate clock and running two separate wires for them, your consultant would be able to figure that out.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, if it was said that you really want a synchronized digital and analog clock. So in other words, you still have an analog clock face that gets put into the rooms. But you would still have the ability to have some basic clocks in places should you want them.
One comment I have though is if when you mentioned going with the less costly peripherals and devices,
Mhm.
that we don't saddle the next person 5 years down the road with having to replace a bunch of stuff that's failing prematurely because we try to save some pennies up front. So
Well, that might be an easy thing to show the price differential. Like here's the base, here's kind of the base model of the end device and endpoint devices, and then here's another price point.
and life expectancy though, next.
Okay, yeah, we can ask about that.
Okay, so those would be all things that I think the committee would be interested in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Question for Ray, are you going to have to change contractors? Or can the contractor that you have right now for your PA system? Make it,
The vendor,
you have to change your vendor, but,
the sub vendor changes, Nolan Electric will continue to do all the
okay,
work.
thank you.
Yeah, all like low voltage stuff in the building is being overseen by Nolan, right? So you don't have a separate telecom. So, yeah.
Good.
That does make it a lot
Yeah. It
easier when
does,
we get
right.
into things, yeah.
And they're ready and waiting to jump on this.
I'm sure they are.
Can we do a motion to approve contingent on
IT, yeah.
approval?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. So the pace of that turnaround, hopefully Mike can weigh in tomorrow and
Sure.
if it's, yeah, okay.
Does he need, because there's a full backup to the proposal here. Does he need that or can it forward it? Because I can't remember who, I think Justin forwarded it to you.
Or do it to me. And then neglected to ask any of these questions.
It went out to everyone. Do you have it? You want to got that? Mike, would you like me to pass it, Mike, and forward to him? And then you can follow up with him? Okay, I'll get it to him tonight. I'll just tell him you're gonna be calling him. Okay?
Okay. All right. Okay, and then we have a CCD, construction change directive to discuss. So this is something we've talked about a couple times already as a group, but it's the supplemental ventilation above ceilings into the space above the below the gabled roofs. So there's 3 different sets of ductwork systems. I tried to show more or less where they are in relationship to the building, but the area from the gym over here, the B1 area, that is that's in this location. The kindergarten wing, the B2 area is over here, and then the A wing, the first and second grades and offices is over here. So the intent here was this was a request to provide some supplemental ventilation, in addition to the fact that we have residual tempering of that volume above the within the peak roofs there. But this would allow you to have continuously running ventilation. You'd have within each zone, you've got 2 different supplies, and then you've got 1 return, so that you have this distribution of air moving throughout. In each case, the supplies are at the end, and then the return is in the middle, I believe. But that's the the general gist of it. On the smaller area, over here, I think you have just one supply and one return because it's just a smaller volume. So the change here is that some of this ductwork is going in right now. So we're looking at having to have the contractor go and do this work while it's already getting up in place. So there's some supply, there's some ductwork interface. There's reason why we're looking at this as a CCD is there's still some discussion about, we were thinking you don't really need a grill or diffuser up there. You can just do a wire mesh over the open duct. There is a damper right behind it, so we've got some damper control there. Then there's a little bit of a question about how much balancing we're doing on that ductwork as well to get the air volumes required. So in order to get the contractor to get moving with this and buy the parts and start to get the install going, that would be the approach here. So the current price based on the PCO 23 is the 24,057.16. So that's what we would set as the CCD while we determine what the savings might be on grills and diffusers, and while we refine the scope of the balancing, and we confirm the damper type.
So if everyone remembers, this was the second half of the conversation about ventilation of the roof system, when we were looking at different options that were in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range.
Right.
And this was identified as a more cost-effective solution to achieve some air movement in the attic space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm frankly surprised that it's, I'm pleasantly surprised that it's at this level.
Yeah.
I think the only comment that you may want to hear from some other members is, I don't think in the similar vein, Chris, I'm guessing that you would probably prefer a damper on that ductwork rather than open screen in line of the duct.
Yeah, actually, just what popped in my head was fire dampers and whatnot. Is there any?
There's no requirement for fire damper up here. No, there's no fire rating between the ceiling plane and none of this ductwork is penetrating any of our rated stairs or elevators. So we're all around it. Yeah, that's
The places it is penetrating, there are smoke and fire dampers that are
Okay.
appropriate for those ratings.
Okay.
Yeah. This was a damper. Each location had a damper that was I'm trying to remember now, right? You can help me out on this. So the question was whether or not it was a controllable damper or
So the proposal and the dollar value you have in front of you has static dampers. As John mentioned, we're talking back and forth. The mechanical engineer has apparently reiterated his request to make these automatic controlled dampers. But what is not reflected in this price is the additional controls to do that. We are not using controlled dampers anywhere else in the building that are not fire or smoke dampers.
And that's where we're trying to balance that with whether or not we need to spend, if we have to balance that with an amount of testing and balancing that gets done. And then the fact that we would have to any diffusers that on that. So if we eliminate the diffusers and we can reduce the amount of testing and balancing, then that's why we feel like that was a good upset number on the high side there for that.
Just with caution that there is nothing in the proposal in front of you for that 24,000 to connect this to the lead management system, which is what's required for the automatic damper.
Yep. And this is basically set and forget. They
Yeah,
don't need the automatic.
Set
dampers.
by the balance.
Yeah, so there's no need for automatic dampers beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions here? Would anybody like to make a motion to,
So, second,
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
That concludes our report.
just a couple of questions on your update, and we kind of got right into the money side of things.
Yep.
But I just wanted to open it up for any questions from the committee on the update portion, the progress on site, et cetera. Everything's going well with the start of school,
Yeah,
continuing to.
easy, it's been great. We've visited the site a few times. Everything's on track. It's great.
Any other questions? The phase two, the demolition, are you guys demobilizing during that time, or are you having a site trailer there?
We'll probably not have a trailer there.
Okay.
Super will probably work out of this truck.
And the current schedule for demolition assumes a worst case scenario?
It assumes a lot of time ripping out all the asbestos.
The hot stuff, okay. And some of that, we have allowances that have covered the most severe or the high end of stuff like PCBs.
That's my understanding, is that we have a very high upset limit for what we've considered PCBs. So that kind of July 1, they come in, they do the additional testing as they're going, since they know they're going to be tearing the building down imminently. They do that additional testing, and and the fewer PCBs we find, the cleaner the demo goes. So everything's from a worst case scenario standpoint, and we work down from there. That's the plan.
Thank you. Any other questions for John or Ray? Okay, anything else on the?
Yes,
update?
thank you, John.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it. So since Ashley's not with us tonight, I'll give everyone a brief update on Dunn's Corner and Springbrook. On a positive note, there has been quite a bit of progress on the punch list, which is a very good thing. However, last Friday was the date set with Tower and AHJs to reinspect the outstanding life safety issues. And unfortunately, the fire alarm system at Dunn's Corner failed again. Seems as if there might even be more issues this time. So the 60-hour battery backup test failed. I know they're in the process of testing right now. Yep. And the alarm is not sounding. In addition, we had some trouble alerts in the panel. So there's just some issues to work through there. And waiting for some type of notification from Tower as to when they're going to test again. And today, I know Justin, you and Dr. Garcon Mark were on the email from Fire Marshal Babola that he's reporting that the VDA system is not functioning properly. And so there was quite a few emails back and forth on that, and their electrician A&J stepped up and said that they're looking into the matter and they'll get back to us on it. So with that said, we still don't have fire marshal sign off on Dunn's Corner.
So is it the same electrician that's dealing with the alarm system and,
And I have to say, they're very good about it.
and the battery was switched out, but it's still,
The battery was switched out. They're claiming it wasn't charged up properly. I don't know. Still don't, have never seen it. Ashley was here to speak to it more. We still have never seen their calculations that they were supposed to go back and refigure and resubmit. So not quite sure. You were actually there for it. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there. Am I missing anything?
no, but there is some positives. They did highlight what they believe was the issue. The batteries have charged for 3 days before we went on the second test. Panel is hecting and responding correctly right now.
Very
So tomorrow at 7 o'clock, when we sound the alarms, we feel like we'll pass.
Wonderful.
so the panel's not throwing any codes at this point?
The right codes is thrown. Because remember, it's on battery backup, so we lost the AC power to it. It's telling us that, which is sure.
So the battery's disconnected right now.
Correct. Well, it's on battery power, right?
It's on battery power.
It's been on battery power for the past 3 days, 2 days.
So the first time around, did it seem we were getting the errors because it was, the batteries connected? Or that was put back on regular power?
When we went and tested it, the alarms didn't sound because the batteries didn't hold. So the calculations we believe are correct. The batteries that we were supplied weren't fully charged, whether it came off a shelf or they threw it on too early. When we gave it the weekend to charge,
Okay.
they tested it, battery before they put it on the test. It was where it needed to be. And we'll see if it holds.
Okay.
The BDA test did not pass today. The signal was just not getting amplified enough. The signal we're getting to the building is weak. And so we're trying to amplify a weak signal and it's still just not getting to where it needs to be.
Right.
The fire department brought in a truck which has a repeater on it. Once that truck was on site, they had no issues. The police do not have something similar to that, so they're still without signal in the basement of the basement.
Okay. So the electrician, A&J, said they're gonna look into extending the antenna and, which they weren't
It's a-
too enthusiastic about.
apparently a line of sight issue we have, being something down at the bottom of that road and hills and trees in our way. The running theory is that in the wintertime, when all the leaves are gone, the signal gets better. Which is when they, did their calculations, apparently the first time that knew that was gonna rain. So there's a couple options on the table how we can resolve that. Whether that's a tweaking of the tower that we're connecting to, raising our antenna, that we have a few things to work out and find.
Anything else, Deb?
No,
Any questions for Deb? Okay, hearing none, we will move along. I would say, John, Ray, we're going on the capital projects update, so we won't be offended if you excuse yourself.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda, capital projects update. So there's been some movement, some discussion. So last time we met, for those that weren't at the meeting last time, we reviewed the annual capital improvements roster of projects and moved those along. Those went in front of the school committee last week with some modifications to it, not necessarily on the project-based side of things, if I understand correctly, but the bus was not moved forward by the
It was
school.
modified.
It was modified. And I did listen to the town council meeting on Monday to learn that there was a planning board advisory opinion that recommended the relocation of the bus depot from its current location due to some environmental concerns over wellhead protection. I've since learned that nobody from the school committee was asked about this or notified about this.
Not at all.
So,
So that's, so when we met last time, we voted on the capital request. And the electric bus issue is a separate issue, but as you said, obviously. But the repaving of the yard over there was a big part of that request. So I was really surprised, and I don't know, Chris, if you can shed any light on how this happened, to hear about it Monday night. There's this recommendation coming from the planning board. And that recommendation was made like in June, or this letter was sent to the town council in June. And it was discussed Monday night and we never knew anything about it. So, there's a couple of things that the issue of the buses and potential fire over there and how would that be mitigated? We haven't heard from fire chiefs or anybody else about concerns about electric buses. That bus yard, as I understand it, has been there for at least 40 years with gas, diesel, motor oils, coolants, all kinds of things. And this has never been raised as a concern, and it comes up Monday night. And so now I don't know what to do about our capital request. If people think, if the council thinks that we're gonna be relocating the bus garage. I wouldn't expect them to approve that request. But if we don't do something over there, we've got buses driving through giant potholes. We've got the potential for more leakage into the ground. So I'm kind of stuck.
And this was year 2 of the request. And we granted year 1's funding.
So it's an existing facility that has to be maintained. It's something that wasn't brought to the attention of the council until last Monday. I don't know about the June letter date. I'm not aware of that letter being available in June.
That's what it's dated. It was,
Could be, but
Yeah,
it really wasn't provided to the council until this last week.
It was likely taken up at the June, planning board meeting.
Yeah, were you still on the council? I mean, the planning board?
No,
Okay.
Well, so the letter was dated the 23rd. It was received by Mary, I guess, on the 17th of September.
Yeah, it was
So that
received
part
last
makes sense.
week and it coincided with what the planning board was reporting of the progress that they've made in the last year. So, I thought it should be put on. They're sending a letter to the council. I thought it should be put on for discussion. It hasn't been vetted out and challenged in any manner in the past. Capping the site with this asphalt was considered to be a prudent way to protect the aquifer. If that's no longer the case, then, we can just look into that, but
But do you expect it will be? I mean, do you expect that once we go through the budget process, that item will be approved and we'll be able to repave over there?
I think it raises a good question. Long term, should it be there? I know moving a bus terminal is gonna be $1 million or more. So it's not,
And it's not just our
it's
stuff.
done lightly. And the planning board, Justin used to run it. They have their own agenda on something, so.
Yeah.
it was easy. It was easy.
Recommendation to us, or- Do we just leave that? Do you have a recommendation for us? Do we just leave that in the capital request?
At this point, I think you have no choice. You have to maintain that system that alone protects the aquifer.
Mhm.
So I think it falls on the town manager and his staff that run the water department.
And the water department hasn't said anything.
They have not.
No, I mean, this is something that would take years to do.
You'd have to buy a property, 2.5 acres or more.
But also,
It's just,
you'd have to get public comment on the place. I can't see this happening in less than several years. Just because, just think how long it took for the school building project. I mean, it was 20 years in the making.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't know where this is coming from. Well, I mean, and the resolution, if they're worried about contamination, probably is a lot easier if we do something at the site. But I don't see this really affecting anything for years.
I agree.
Yeah,
so I'm leaving it on the town at this point
yeah.
to evaluate, and if we need an environmental expert to come in and look at this closer, that's something we need. Protection of the water supply is paramount. You
Oh, yeah, sure.
can't jeopardize that.
And the recommendation, as I understood it, was only that, the town explore the possibility of relocating the bus garage, right?
Yeah, and they got into potential contamination from EV vehicles.
So,
Don't buy any more EV vehicles.
so is that considered a town property? When we talk about care and control, is that under the,
My understanding is this town property.
okay, all right. Okay.
Well, they all.
Thank you, Chris.
I mean,
Yeah, they're all town property, but some you guys pay for maintenance on.
right.
And upkeep.
It's just never even considered the care and control bus garage issue.
I know.
As an issue.
I know. And I know it was on your agenda Monday night, Chris, so we're not frustrated with the council, or you, or surprised, I should say. when it came
I
up.
voted for the capital budget.
I know you did. So, I think if there needs to be a conversation at this committee's level, I think we just need to be aware of it, I think is the only thing. I don't necessarily want to be in the business of bus depots, but,
With the capital request that's in, if there are some things on the site that need to be improved that I'm not aware of, you could raise that dollar amount or change the scope of work that needs to be done. So whatever those recommendations are, you can hear them. You can act on them.
When we add new charging stations, does that go to planning? Cindy, do you know?
I wouldn't think so.
No,
no, it doesn't. I can tell you it doesn't.
we got another bus coming next month. We're slated to take 2 in the first quarter of next year, which will involve, additional construction and installation of those charging stations. And the school committee taking the electric bus off the capital request, and that's just another issue and a lot of lost grant money. So I was kind of surprised that happened as well. But Monday night was a very, very big surprise. And I think you're absolutely right. Paving is probably the best protection we can give the aquifer.
Yeah, it'll cap the site, isolate it from infiltration. Oh, the town has an environmental engineer that supports the water department. I talked to town manager about bringing them in and evaluating that recommendation.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Anything else for capital projects?
That's good.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay. So item number 8, next steps. I believe we have, what? Sorry, I gotta look at a calendar again. What is your open house?
October 16th.
October 16th.
Springbrook is at 3:30, we're at 5:30. And Springbrook is just a ribbon cutting,
Yes,
so they already did their open house.
yes.
Mine is combined.
Okay, excellent.
But as I did tell, Justin through an email, that had the Springbrook open house, the kids and the parents were just ecstatic about the new building. There was a ton of energy, and she did like just a very small scale ribbon cutting, and it was just a huge night there. Everybody was very excited. Place looks great. It really does. There's still a lot of work that has to happen, but it really looks good. The library looks amazing.
So do we need to,
And we look at the gnomes,
you know, what?
the little gnomes. So cute. They're in the mural in the library.
Yeah.
And then they appear throughout the building. Here and there, you'll see one on the hallway.
Yeah.
Right down the hall.
Great.
That's great.
You can do like a scavenger hunt for them.
So do we need to, for something like this, do we need to post a meeting if we're gonna have a quorum of folks?
I'm not really doing any business. I'm not taking any votes.
It's true, but I would post it anyway.
As it-
So who's handling invitations? and such?
How do we do it when we did road, country building?
The groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. Yeah, I think I was sending out to everybody. We did an invite.
I think you answered your own question.
No problem. Send it out to everybody, and we have the scissors. You need to get some ribbon. And then you need to figure out who's gonna cut the ribbon and who's gonna hold the ribbon. That comes down to usually a big discussion.
So we'll have a kid cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
And,
Zeppi's gotta be there.
I'll cut it. We'll borrow Lisa's giant scissors. The chamber.
Do you have some? Because we have the great big ones.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
The chamber has them, but yeah, if you have them.
Yeah.
sure.
in the office. Which works out great.
Okay, so I'm guessing that we should probably send out those invitations or those holds pretty quick. Are there any for the groundbreaking, were there any graphics that, like a 8.5 by 11 that we emailed
I
out?
included, I don't remember, I don't recall, but let me see if, let me look at, pull up the invite, look at it. And, I can find some photos,
Okay,
or maybe a nice elevation, we have one somewhere, a colorized one, that looks actually how it ended up coming out. Put that in there.
okay. So obviously council, school committee,
Absolutely,
RIDE, our local reps.
which is all, probably a lot of it's changed since last time too.
Mm-hmm.
Council's changed a bit. And it was
Yeah. Well, we
elections
have
last
had
year,
elections,
changed the
yeah.
things. So I'll go through and,
Okay,
yeah, try to get those out by Monday.
okay. Any other next steps, any questions? Any desire for future agenda items? No, I'll just want to get home. All right. Okay.
Well, we should talk about in the future. Now, but the playground over at State Street. Because we have funding now, it's not in OG's current scope. I suggested it goes into their scope and we don't contract out to someone separate. And maybe have this one did this and this one did that, right?
Yep.
We have them take it on. So they were gonna probably be looking, I already mentioned it only about that services playground. If that's the route we wanna go. So he's gonna be looking into getting us a cost for consideration.
You want to order that pretty soon, right?
Yeah, that's just it, I know.
We don't, he picked it, it's been picked through
Yeah.
OMG.
I think, not to speak out of school, I feel like we bought a playground design with the professional services,
Okay,
regardless of where the funding's coming from, so.
I think just the install is now the question.
Yeah. So we'll.
well, no, they don't own the playground equipment. They were gonna give us just grass.
They're
Right.
giving us grass, but with OMG's people, the playground people, we picked what design we wanted. So I don't know who's ordering it. I know the
Okay.
funding source was capital. And then I think they're giving us grass. So the point is who's putting it in? Because
Right, so we have to look into.
it hasn't been bought, right?
So
Yeah.
it will be a change order to ONG's contract.
Mhm.
Right.
I guess my question in your global budget, is that capital in here?
No, it's not in there yet. I did not put it in
Okay.
because we don't have a cost to put against it and I didn't want to
Okay.
unbalance what we have left.
And how much was that?
Um,
3,
I don't have that here
Okay.
in front of me.
gonna put her on the spot.
Yeah,
No.
the funding.
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it 400 something together? I don't remember, honestly.
Well, we can follow up.
It looked as.
Sounds like a next agenda item.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too far gone
454,
without having it.
554.
It was 26s. I don't know if that was for
Right.
Springbrook or if that was for
Okay.
26 was for state, the year before was for
26 or 7.
Guns in Springbrook.
So that, my opinion is that should also include the pour in place, surface, all that type of stuff.
I think we did not fund for pour in place, if I remember. But if you think we can.
Well, I'm telling you, I just got playground estimates for 3 larger elementary schools and just the apparatus, just the actual equipment, was around 170, 180. And typically pour in place surfaces, costs around $25 a square foot to install, $25 to $30 a square foot. So hopefully, between the actual, and that was landscape structure. Do you remember what company, equipment you were looking at?
Walmart.
It doesn't,
I know.
okay. So that's good. but I also agree that if this is being installed in the end of summer, that we need to get on the ball on ordering.
Okay, let me get some more details to all of this. We'll talk about it in the next meeting.
Okay. And if both of that, if both capital allocations from the 2 years that were purposely in there to fund the playscapes, if those can make it into our global budget.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'll put an estimate in there too for the playground.
Great. Okay, thank you. Anything else for next steps? Okay, there continue to be no members of the public, so we will not take public comment. And if anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Again, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Right.